Today we're going to be working on pictographs. This right here on the screen right now is a pictograph, and the purpose of the pictograph is to give you information quickly without having to throw all those numbers at you at the same time. So we're going to learn how to read it and how to get information from it. First thing you want to look for on pictograph, move myself out of the way, is the title. And the title of this one says apples sold. So we know it's going to be about what? Probably how many apples they sold and which month they probably sold it. That's what you have on the side. You have all the months that they sold. They sold in January, February. You see right as they go through. These are the months that they sold. It's going to give us information on that pretty quickly. Now, whenever you look at a pictograph, you have to notice the important parts. One is the title, so you know what it's about. But the second is this thing right here at the bottom. Right? This is the key. The key tells us what each thing's actually worth. So by January, you might see, hey, there's one apple. But that one apple isn't worth one apple. That one apple is actually worth 10. They just couldn't fit it all across. If you look at the month of February, they'd have to fit 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 10. 4 groups of 10 being 10, 20, 30, 40. That'd be a lot of apples to fit on a graph. So they condensed it and made it short. So each full apple is worth 10, meaning each half apple would be worth half of 10 or 5. And that part of the key explains that to us. All right, so if we look at our graph right now, we can get some quick bits of information. Right away, without having to think hardly at all, we can take a look at which month had the most apples sold. February, because it's got the 4 apples there and everything else has less. But remember, those 4 apples aren't 4. Those 4 apples are actually worth 40. We can take a look and see which one's the second most, which month they sold the least. Which month did they sell the least? Yeah, January, because they only had 1 apple on there, and that 1 apple is actually worth 10. We have to keep looking at that key over there, making sure we're using the right amount of information. There is no 1 apples on this. It's either going to end in a 5 or a 0. All right, let's take a look at March real quick. March has 2 whole apples and a half apple. Each apple's worth 10, so 10 for the first one, 20, but now we got a half of an apple. That half an apple was worth 5, so 10, 20 plus 5 is 25. So we know we have 25 here, we have our 40. This right here is worth 1 apple, so it's worth 10. Bottom one has 2 apples, so that's 2 groups of 10, which is 20. So we have all of our bits of information, and we can find things really fast. If we just went to compare, say we wanted to compare the first month and the last month they had, January and April. Well, how many more apples did they sell in April than in January? Well, we just need to look. They have 1 extra spot over, right? That's 1 extra apple, and that 1 apple is worth 10. So in April, they said sold 10 more apples than they did in January. Your worksheet today, your work is going to be on pictographs. So remember the key important things you need to look at. You need to look at what is the title. You need to look at the key that's on the bottom and know what everything's worth. It may be only worth 1 of that picture, but it may be worth 2 or 5 or 10. It all depends on whoever created that graph, what they decided was going to be for that. Take a careful look at it, think yourself through those questions, and do the best that you possibly can. This might be something new for some of us, but looking at information and looking at data, especially on graphs, helps us find information really quick and can make it more fun.